So today I am asking all Americans, I'm asking every Democrat, I'm asking every independent, I'm asking a lot of Republicans to come together in this campaign to support your candidacy, which I endorse, to make certain that we defeat somebody who I believe, and I'm speaking just for myself now, is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country.
Bernie Sanders endorsing Biden there. The most dangerous president in the history of this country.
You know, it's like he's so terrible. He's the worst. I can't stand him. I don't like Biden that much either, but he's better than Trump.
All right. So here we are being told by the progressive left, okay, fine. We'll get behind Biden. We'll fall in line, just like they did behind Hillary. Now, that, for some of us, may be a positive indicator insofar as it seems to suggest that this will be a replay of 2016. But now with the coronavirus situation, pandemic, we all know this is going to be a very different election than 2016. And you had the Obama endorsement of Biden come down today as well. Obama had been waiting on the sides. He didn't want to come out and endorse Biden right away. He wanted to see. It was really the best choice for the American people. So Obama now is saying that Biden is going to be the guy. Okay. I guess that means that all along he thought that Biden should be the guy. That's what we're supposed to believe, but I think we all know better than that. Here's where this stands now. I am. We just talked to Ann Coulter a little bit about this. I'm concerned as well because they're just going to turn they're going to force this into a very clear binary. Forget all the stuff before about Russia collusion, Trump grab him by the blank, all that stuff, right? The emoluments clause, Stormy Daniels, Ukraine phone call, all of that. That's going to be very quickly forgotten. That's going to be very quickly cast aside. I mean, they're still going to use it, but that's not going to be the main effort. I shouldn't say forgotten. That'll be pushed into the secondary line of attack. The main line of attack is just going to be this pandemic is horrible. Things are bad in the country. The economy's bad. Because even if we turn the economy on tomorrow, which we're not going to do, and it's going to take quite some time to even get things up and running to a reasonably normal level of economic activity, even if that happens, the economy is going to be probably in a pretty tough spot. And a lot of people are going to be very angry about what the government has done to them come this fall. So you have the creation of this return to normal versus America under the pandemic. And the pandemic and the country that we're living in is going to be, they're going to try to blame all of it on Trump. It did happen on his watch. How much could he have done or not done is clearly going to be where the debate is. But I'm worried, my friends. I was very confident that Trump was going to get reelected. And now with a pandemic, it seems like it seems to me much more like a 50-50 shot. How could anyone say they believe with real confidence that President Trump will be able to pull this off, considering that there's going to be a very weak economy, most likely, going into the reelection, and we're going to have a death toll that will be entirely put on Trump's shoulders by the media, and there's going to be a lot of stuff here that they have to work with. So I'm concerned, and that's why this other point from the conversation I was having with Ann that I wanted to extrapolate from here and expand on, that there's really not that much. Right now, people, I think people have a perception that we have largely dodged a bullet as a country by not having a socialist as a president. That we should breathe a big sigh of relief because Bernie Sanders, the socialist, is not going to be the candidate and therefore not going to be the president. But how different really is Joe Biden from Bernie Sanders when it comes to policy? How different is it when you look at the direction that they want to take the country in. Joe Biden wants not Medicare for all, but he wants a public option. Well, a public option just means now that you have effectively a choice of what will be Medicare for, a similar program to Medicare for all. And people are going to say, yeah, I want that. I want that government plan that's subsidized, that pays for all of my stuff as though I'm a Medicare recipient. I want that same deal. Now, Medicare is the single biggest thing blowing a massive hole in our national debt. So we know that this is financially unsustainable, but yes, people will want that. And what happens when you start to see too many people signing up for that public option? It crowds out private plans, and eventually there'll just be a bigger move toward, you guessed it, Medicare for all, the public option for all, which is Medicare for all. That's what will happen. So he's just looking at the trajectory that Bernie Sanders is on and telling you that he's going to take you to a halfway point. Just as Obama, with Obamacare, moved the country in a direction of much greater government control of healthcare, much more central planning in charge of our healthcare system. Biden continues on with that and pushes it even further. Bernie Sanders is just trying to take you, he's trying to get you there in 2 years or 4 years or whatever it may be. Biden is going to get you there. The Biden plan will get you there in 6 or 8. It's not really all that different. And Biden is even willing to say that Democrats should. I mean, he's open about this. I thought this is one of those things that should be they're whispering but won't say out loud. Biden is saying that they should seize this opportunity of the tremendous crisis the country is currently in to try to advance the Green New Deal and a progressive and progressive agenda items. Play clip 7.
And I want Donald Trump to look at these people in the eye and tell them, after they put their lives on the line for the rest of us, that they don't deserve a living wage, that they don't deserve health care, that they don't deserve to be able to send their kids to college or community college or trade school, that they don't deserve to make equal pay for equal work. I want them to look them in the eye and tell them that they don't deserve to be able to organize, to fight for what they deserve, to bargain with dignity, to demand their employers give them their due. I want them to look them in the eye and tell them that the scientists are wrong, that climate change is not an existential crisis demanding worldwide domestic and international responses. I want them to tell the moms and dads across the country that their children and grandchildren don't have the right to clean air and water. Look, the United States has no choice but to seize this opportunity and create millions of great paying jobs that your energy plan has suggested, and mine as well. An energy infrastructure of tomorrow, not going back to anything that was before, tomorrow. And we take a backseat to no one when it comes to fighting climate change or when it comes to creating good paying jobs, middle class jobs, union jobs.
Yeah, more central planning. That's what we need across the board. Central planning of the energy sector, central planning of every aspect of life. Remember, the experts, folks, they can tell you what to do, anything. You got to listen to them, right? Not allowed to have any questions, not allowed to have any pushback. So much of what he said there is just false. Equal pay, equal pay as a rallying cry on the left is a lie. Right? Women are not paid 33 cents on a dollar less than men for the same work. If that were the case, you would have whole corporations that would save 30% on their labor costs by only hiring women. It's just not true. And it's not true for a whole bunch of other reasons, too. And all the studies that are honest, that are done by economists, show that this is not reality, that in the aggregate, women tend to, not always, tend to make different choices and have a different approach to the way that they will prioritize life and work. But that's never factored in. The Democrats just use this to divide us and to tell lies to people. So I suppose no surprises on that. You also have, there are so many claims in there. The green energy one is the biggest one that we have to be on the lookout for, because climate change as a national emergency, a global emergency, and one upon which the fate of the human race rests, that's something that they're going to use this current model of shutdown. You have to shut down. You got to do what we say. It's an emergency. It's an emergency. They're going to use this model for the pandemic response for climate change issues down the line. I really do believe that it's just a matter of time before that happens. And they're saying that they view this as an opportunity for the massive expansion of government, for the enshrinement of new powers and authorities into the government's hands that can be used against us for a whole range of things going forward. And this is big government, left-wing, progressive stuff that Biden's talking about. So you see that the return to the American people, the pitch will be, vote for me, I'll return things to normalcy. To the Democrat base and to the left, they're like, oh, okay, well, Biden's going to basically do what we want him to do anyway. So we're moving in the same direction here. It's really not all that different. And to people that are easily fooled, it's just things will get better. We just want change. Think about Obama, 2008. We got a financial crisis going on, hope and change. Perfect way to capture the sentiment of that moment for the electorate. Hope for change was really what was going on. This stinks, the bad economy. We hate it. Somebody's going to do something else. That something else has got to be good. Got to figure out a way to get that done. That's where this was. That's the truth of the success of that particular political moment in time for the Democrats. And then we have the immigration issue. This is what Trump won on. Not a lot of talk about this from the president these days. If only we had had even more secure borders, if only we had had an administration that followed through on all of the promises from, now some of the promises have been followed through on, but there are others that have not. We do not have a wall, and my friends, we're not going to get a wall in time for the election. That's a shame. He thought he had more time. This was going to be the year that it was going to get built. At least that's how they were setting it up. He thought he had more time. He didn't have more time. So now we're not getting a wall. That's not going to happen. He can't run for re-election on C. I told you. Yeah, you can say, Buck, we got 100 miles of wall or something. I mean, okay, it's a start. We had some wall before, or at least we had some fence. It wasn't very good. The new fence is much better. But there are some areas where we know that there's just not the follow-through that is needed here. So let's talk a little bit about the immigration component here.
We're going to finally achieve comprehensive immigration reform as well, put millions of citizens on a pathway to citizenship, including so many who are in the front lines right now.
Millions on a pathway to citizenship. That means millions get citizenship. There will be no expulsions from the pathway once the Democrats create it. Once a Biden administration sets up the way that illegal aliens can get citizenship in the United States, there's not going to be any movement to tell people who are on that pathway, oh, sorry, you're not going to, unless they're a violent felon or something. And even then, the ACLU and others will probably take up their case and say, how dare you deny us the civilization building help of a violent felon in this instance, right? I mean, this is just absurd. But that's where this is all heading. And remember that if Democrats are able to get, and I think we've forgotten about this as part of our conversation about what the country faces, if Democrats are able to get a mass amnesty through, the Republican Party is done for several election cycles, if not done forever. That's it. You're finished, and the Republicans should know that. Finished at the national level. Not going to win a White House again for decades, just because of the demographics. Hispanics in general, Latinos in general, which as we know would be a vast majority, not all, but a vast majority of the illegal alien population that would be transitioned into this pathway to citizen status, vote 2-1 Democrat over Republican. I think in these cases, or in a lot of instances, it seems more like it's 3-1, but it's a big majority vote Democrat over Republican. And that's all that they need at the national level. All the Democrats need to continue to win, to continue to hold power. So we got a real problem here. We got a problem that nobody has really gotten an answer to, because right now we're so focused on trying to reopen the economy. One thing, by the way, on the reopening that I didn't mention before, I want to dig into Sweden a bit more tomorrow as a case, because there's so much pressure right now on Sweden to go with full lockdown. And it's just so interesting when I'm reading the analysis of it, because Sweden has a far lower death rate from COVID-19 than Spain, than Italy, But we're seeing all this comparison to Finland, a tiny and really very what's the best way to put this? A country with so much social cohesion. I mean, they speak a language that like no one else anywhere in the world even knows exists. Finland. That Sweden is being compared only to some of the Nordic countries around it instead of the overall European model. I don't think that's I don't think that's drawing a fair assessment for how well the Swedish model is really working. Sweden's a bigger country than than Denmark is. Sweden is a much bigger country than Finland is. If you look at a country the size of Italy, a size of Spain, okay, yes, they're 5 or 6x. Italy is 60 million. I believe Sweden's about 10 million. So they're much bigger countries. But even adjusted per capita, Sweden is basically holding the line of deaths lower than what you have in those major European states. And they're not doing the lockdown. That's the key difference. So how is that the case? There's also a study, and I will probably return to this one tomorrow. These are just some mulligans that I'm taking now, where you have the chairman of the Israeli Space Agency and the National Council for Research and Development in Israel says that, well, here's what he says, that COVID-19 declines after 6 to 8 weeks, that there's a cycle that this disease runs in countries. Essentially, once it gets in, it spreads. It rips through a portion of the population, and whether you lock down or not does not change. This Israeli scientist who is making this claim. It's been reported in the international media. He's saying lockdown or no lockdown doesn't really make a difference. Quote, this is happening both in countries that have closed down like us, this is talking about Israel, and in those that have not closed until today, like Sweden. Every country, no matter its response, the decline and rise occur according to the same timeline, he said, adding that his observations are based entirely on past data without attempting to guess what will happen in the future. So he's saying that there's a cycle that we've seen play out now where no matter how locked down you are, no matter what you try to do as a country, this thing goes on a certain curve over the course of 6 to 8 weeks. I would really like to see some honest efforts to crunch the data and look at the numbers and see if that's true. But, man, there's going to be the same way that you look at something, a huge historical debate like the New Deal. Did the New Deal help pull America out of the Depression? Did it make the Depression worse? We're still fighting about that to this day. I obviously think the New Deal made it worse, and that's a conversation we can have. There's been some excellent scholarship that has come away from looking at the New Deal policies of FDR and showing that it did actually make things worse. But we were told in school, made things better. The lockdown debate, I can assure you, is going to continue for a very long time after this virus finally is under control in this country. All right, everyone. It is our roll call session. I look forward to it every day. Here's what we've got. Marina. Right. Oh, and if you want to be a part of it, facebook.com/Buck Sexton. Or you can write into us at teambuck@iheartmedia.com. I am here. I'm stuck in quarantine. You know what makes me smile? You know what makes me happy? Other than when Tallulah starts snoring in the sun, as she likes to do now every day. She finds the warmest part where the sun is coming through the window the most and sets herself up there. And if it's really warm, I know, because then she just starts snoring like a little warthog. She's very cute, though. But other than that, what makes me smile these days is getting roll call notes from all of you, getting messages from you, telling me what you're seeing across the country. Just let me know how you're doing. How's your family doing? You guys are it's you and producer Mark, and I talked to my immediate family on the phone. I talked to the mystery lady. I guess I already said her name. So I talked to the girlfriend. That's what I do. That's it. There's no one else. So I love hearing from all of you. I really mean that. You guys give me a sense that we're all going to get through. We're all going to be all right. All right, Marina's first up here. The other day, my roommate and I took a motorcycle ride. Oh, sounds like fun. We stopped in a small town at a mom-and-pop restaurant to buy lunch to go. The municipality had recently taped off the benches in the park nearby, So he asked the restaurant employee where she suggested we eat. They had a large empty outdoor deck, and she motioned in that direction. After lunch, I had this sensation that took me a moment to remember. I felt normal. I thanked the employee for giving us the gift of a normal day. By the way, you can't tease Tallulah anymore now that you two have fattened up like a baby seal. Fair point. You know, truth hurts, but yeah, baby seal is going to have to start keeping me from eating too many fish every day because, it's getting round about the belly. Is there a food, producer Mark, that you basically can't get right now because all the restaurants are shut down and stuff that you miss the most?
Oh, yeah, sushi. You can't get sushi anywhere.
I haven't had sushi in, certainly in the whole lockdown, but I don't even know how long. It's been a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I only eat the cooked stuff, but I'm craving it, and I have been for over a month.
What is your go-to cooked sushi choice?
The Philadelphia roll.
Ooh, with the smoked salmon and the cream cheese.
Yes. Those are delicious.
So it's kind of like a lox cream cheese bagel, but rice instead of a bagel.
Yes, exactly. And seafood.
Yeah, no, I like that one too. Bob writes in, hey, Buck, I used to listen to podcasts of your show a year back, but got out of the habit of listening to all podcasts for a while. I recently rediscovered you on iHeart. I love the show. But I did notice your format is different now. Current events and political commentary from the previous show, which seemed to be more historical analysis, politics, and philosophy. Your depth of knowledge and insight on complex issues completely fascinated and engaged me. It was the most intelligent show I had ever heard. I love the current show, but I miss your earlier work, so I'm excited to hear you're planning some podcasts in the style of the old shows. I'm really looking forward to them and hope it turns into something you can continue to produce in the future. Bob. Well, Bob, thank you. And yeah, it's look, there's a few things going on. One is because of the expansion of this show from being what was really in the OSS days on Saturday, it was a live stream and a podcast. That's all that it was. We had no stations when we started. And now if you count up all of the stations we're on, we got about 160, give or take. And that's including, sometimes we'll say 120, sometimes we'll say 160, because in some places we're on an AM and an FM in the same market. But if you add up all of the stations that we are currently on, it's 160 or so stations. And so we have this current events and day-to-day news update component of the show that wasn't really there for the Saturday show. And also, to be quite honest with you, I had the time then, because it was a once-a-week show, to really do, I mean, those shows, we got into history and philosophy and things. It's just in a way that it'd be impossible to do right now. I can't even, as it is, it's hard to carry the load of doing 5 hours of radio a day, which is I'm doing these days. But I really do appreciate that you liked those OSS days on the Saturday show. And I think I don't know if they still exist anymore, if they're still up. I feel like the Blaze might have pulled them all down. I don't know. We'd have to check. But it certainly would be fun to go back and listen to some of those earlier shows for me, just to see how this has all grown and how this has evolved. I was talking to my parents about this last night. I've been doing radio now for 8 years, going on 10 years as a radio host, which once you get to 10 years, then you're like, you're really somebody who's been doing that thing for a long time. 10 years, I feel like, is you're a professional by virtue merely of time, if nothing else. So, yeah. Thank you so much, Bob. And yeah, the Shields High Malta, Mrs. Sexton, my mom, has said that she even likes the history podcasts. So now I can't disappoint Mom. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there we go. Plus,
should I just give her a list of stuff I want you to start doing?
I was going to say, plus if producer Mark finds this out, he's going to start funneling Mrs. Sexton requests, and Mark will know that they'll get done right away. Instead of our current circumstance where Mark has to constantly remind me to do the radio equivalent of tying my shoes and waking up in the morning. So
yeah. I'm going to build an empire through Mrs. Sexton. Just have her tell you all the things I want you to do extra.
Yeah, Mrs. Sexton gets results. It's a true story. Kevin, I found your show some months ago on Freedom 93.7 in Denver, which we love, that Denver affiliate, and the audience that we have managed to bring together in the Denver area is honestly one of the proudest moments that this show has had in the last year. and I've listened to every minute of every show since. I appreciate your rhetorical style. You're a highly effective orator and have a very bright future. I know you hear from your Denver listeners a lot. Take the hint and move out here. This is a great place to live. I am a small business owner, and this virus has cost me everything. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is the charge the government chose to abandon all three in the name of saving few from this specific disease. I hope it was worth it. Shield tie, and remember, if the shield's a little too heavy, simply bend a knee, and it naturally will get a little higher. All right, man. Kevin, thank you so much. And yeah, Freedom 93.7 in Denver. Speaking of our affiliates, we love the response that we've had from folks listening out there. And I was just telling my older brother last night that I've got to get out to Denver to visit. I've never been there before. I want to come out so badly. And, you know, producer Mark and I keep talking about maybe relocating. And the good news for producer Mark, and he already knows this, is technically we don't even have to be in the same place to keep doing the exact same show. So you, producer Mark, could move down to like Naples and work on your tan. And I could theoretically be in Denver or Austin or San Diego. And, you know, we'd still do the show.
Yeah, I'm sure the company will just throw out loads of money to give us equipment wherever we want.
I'm just saying, technically speaking, it would be possible.
Yeah, it is possible.
And by the way, Naples is the top choice for you, right? Isn't that
Naples? I guess maybe Delray. I like that area.
Ooh, have you been to Delray?
I have.
Delray's beautiful.
Some grandparents live down there.
Oh man, that's a great super chill beach town. I really like
downtown Delray is beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's for real. Maureen. Hey, Buck and producer Mark, glad you have a girlfriend at all, but is it safe practice to have her in and out of your place like that? I thought you had to be socially isolated. Apparently, you're choosing not to follow the New York mandate. Glad you're a happy Buckster, but we need you to be safe, please. We count on you and producer Mark to keep us safe and warm. Love your show, and as always, you guys are the best. Hey, Maureen, I mean, we consider it to be, you know, right now, if you have a very small circle of people who are either family or a significant other, and you just know that they're like within your quarantine and you don't expand the quarantine. So I don't have, for example, I haven't had my siblings, whom I love very, very much and miss a lot. I haven't had them visit me because we're trying to keep separate spaces and stay within quarantine. But basically your significant other, you make the exception. And yeah, we actually can walk, but so we can walk between our homes. So if you can go outside, which we are allowed to do, and you maintain social distance from people on the street, there's really no particular, there's no situation where you're in a compromised position to get the virus, really, or elevated risk of getting the virus, other than by going outside, which I have to do 3 times a day anyway, or else little Miss Toulouse would be leaving me smelly presents all over my floor, which we don't want. That's not good for anybody. And then she would give me what I tell my little sister there's a look she gives me, but I call it the middle paw because she extends the middle paw at me. It's when she's unhappy with me. When I've mixed her food, it has to be the perfect mixture of chicken that I often now cook for her. Yes, that's right. And dry food. She will eat some dry food. If the mixture is off, she does, as I've told you, the tiny triceratops, where she slaps the bowl all around my kitchen with her head. That's when the mixture is not perfect. And I don't know why else she would do it. That's why she does it. She slaps the bowl around with her head and makes a little mess and then eats it because the food is fine. But she's she's very French, even though technically she's from Missouri, for those who are wondering. The dog was born in Missouri, but she's a French bulldog, so we still think of her as being French. Let's see. John. Shields High, Real News fan. Wow, going back to the Real News days on the Blaze TV. That's a different OSS, but been with me for a while then, John. Thank you so much. Check out Molly's Game on Netflix. It's a real-life story of Molly Bloom. It is awesome. Commie Bear Lives. Mark, have you seen Molly's Game?
I have. I saw it in theaters. It's fantastic. Can't recommend it enough.
Really?
Great movie, yeah. I read the book also.
Wow. Well, then I will check it out. I did not think, I don't know, it just didn't seem like the story would have enough interest for me of someone running a poker game, but you're telling me it's really good.
Yeah, you think it's so simple just running a poker game, but there's so much to it, and I had no idea the story going in when I watched the movie first. Really, really good and well done.
And I like that actress. I don't remember her name, but she's good. She was good in Zero Dark 30 too. So whatever her name is, she was good. All right, more roll call coming up. All right, more roll call coming your way right now. Joe. Hey, Buck, longtime listener. Love the topics, love the show. Well, Joe, you're a man of exceptional taste. This isn't the start of the Cold War between the U.S. and the Chinese. That's been ongoing for 3 decades. Hopefully it's the start of us fighting back, shields high. Well, Joe, I don't disagree with your sentiment at all. I just think that you could argue it has been a one-way war or a one-way Cold War, which doesn't really feel like a true Cold War. But maybe now we understand that we cannot abide by the Communist Chinese Party's machinations around the world. We cannot accept this. The state of play as it is now is not sufficient. China needs to be held accountable. The Chinese government needs to be held accountable here. What this leads to, I don't know. You know, the prospect of true modern warfare between superpower states that have the technology, the manpower, and the resources that the U.S. and China has, that's really one of the only things that is as terrifying as the worst disease scenario you could ever come up with, perhaps in some ways more so. I mean, now you're talking about, you know, death and destruction on a scale that would boggle and terrify any mind. So hopefully that is never going to be the case, but I do worry that we'll have other conflicts with China and other ways where there's friction that spills over, if not into military conflict. Certainly the economic and cultural and political fighting with China is going to heat up dramatically in the months and years ahead. Brandy, Buck, what do you think are President Trump's chances at winning in the fall after all of this COVID-19 pandemic fallout? Furthermore, is Joe Biden really going to go up against Trump? The debates are going to be must-see TV. Well, one thing is I think that we might have debates without audience, which would be great. I don't think that presidential debates should have an audience. I think that slows it down. I think that the moderators play to the audience more than they realize. And I think that we should just have debates televised. Let people see. There does not need to be any audience. So, and I don't think there will be, because who really is going to want to be in, September, October, subject themselves to that? Maybe by that point we'll feel fine about it. I don't know, but I think that there's a possibility it's not something we're going to do. And I told you, what do I think about Biden against Trump? It's really just Trump versus not Trump. When you think of it in that way, when you think of Trump versus not Trump, then you can see how all of a sudden it's going to be a close-fought contest. And that's why my El Cid analogy for the Biden campaign, I think, is so apropos. It doesn't matter. Just anybody with the name recognition that's the Democrat standard bearer could be put on the horse and sent out there to scare away the last of the Moors for the conquest of Granada, right? A reconquista of Granada. I think that's really what you're going to see with this Biden campaign. It's not going to be impressive. It's not going to be compelling, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. You have to remember that. Mark, not to be confused with producer Mark. Buck, my man, as I'm writing this to say, I've been meaning to reach out for a couple of weeks, but haven't had a minute. My 2-year-old daughter runs in to tell me she just doo-dooed in her pants. Thanks, Mark. I think we call that TMI. Oh, the life of being a parent with toddlers at home full time. I lose a little of my sanity daily. I wanted to comment on on a conversation you and producer Mark had weeks ago regarding comfortable shoes. You have to get a pair of Allbirds. They are 100% wool and are by far the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn, especially without socks. I will warn against wearing them in the summer unless you like hot feet. Love what you do. Keep up the hope. And remember, it's all in the reflexes. I've heard of these Allbirds. In fact, the girlfriend I think she has Allbirds. Producer Mark, do you know of these things?
Yeah, I've heard of them as well. I don't quote me on this, but I think my sister-in-law, the nurse, uses them because they're so comfortable.
Super comfortable?
Yeah.
And probably more stylish than Crocs, which I know also medical personnel sometimes wear, but not everyone finds to be the most stylish of shoe?
I think almost anything is more comfortable than Crocs. Even the slippers I'm wearing right now.
Really? People think Crocs are comfortable, I thought.
I misspoke. I meant more
fashionable.
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 Yes.
Yeah. No, Crocs are comfortable, but
Yeah,
their
I've heard they're
fashion is a little fashion, a little bit different thing. Everybody, please subscribe to the Buck Sexton YouTube channel, youtube.com/Buck Sexton. We're going to be putting up video and all kinds of new and exciting content you can't see anywhere else. Please do subscribe, team. All of you listening, let's get you involved with YouTube viewing. Until tomorrow, shields high.